Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your AMAC podcast, Better for America. And today we have with us a young, relentless, and free thinker who pushes the boundaries. His name is Will Witt. And you may recognize Will from his man on the street videos where he visited campuses and public areas while briefly working with PragerU. Today, Will is editor-in-chief of the Florida Standard, where he focuses on providing uncensored news to people not only in Florida but across the entire nation. Will is a national best-selling author, an international speaker, and short filmmaker. Will, I'm so thrilled to have you right here with us. Thank you for joining Better for America.
Thank you. Yeah, you say the news is uncensored, but as we write uncensored news, but they love to censor the news that we put out. So it's a double-edged sword there.
And that's exactly where I want to start. I want to talk a little bit about the Florida Standard. I love this website. Excellent news. You guys have a lot of really great content. Our listeners will love it. Tell us a little bit about the Florida Standard and how the Florida Standard combats extreme bias in our traditional corporate press.
You know, I lived in Los Angeles for the last 5 years, and I was a conservative in LA for the last 5 years. And you move to Florida, many conservatives are moving there, and if you were to look at the media landscape there, you look at the Miami Herald, you look at the Orlando Sentinel, you look at Florida Politics, Florida Phoenix, you would think that Florida is a left-wing state just based on the media. But in reality, I mean, what we just had with this last election, I mean, Ron DeSantis being up, 19 points over Charlie Crist, 1.5 million votes? It is clearly a red state with people very interested in conservative values, strong conservative values even. But the media doesn't reflect that. And so what I wanted to do is, well, the reason why I came to Florida is to start the Florida Standard as a new media organization to kind of right side the media landscape. I want to show what's really happening to Floridians. I want to show the things that they actually care about. And when it comes to the governor and his administration, I want to cover him fairly because none of the other people in the media in Florida are covering him fairly. They always want to point fingers and blame him for all sorts of things instead of showing all the good things that he's doing and the reason why people actually voted for him at a historic amount.
It is so important, and what you're doing is so good for America. It is better for America. I think this is an area where conservatives need to really get involved, and that is in news and media. It's something that we see what happens. It's easy to be brainwashed in a sense if you're just picking up headlines and sound bites on the news. Here you've got a phenomenal website that really is offering incredible news, breaking news, lots of great content there, and I appreciate the work that you're doing. I want to also applaud you, Will, for standing up for the most vulnerable, and that is our children. Now, you attended a school in Hillsborough, Florida, and you pointed out the abuses against our children. And Will, I was shocked, I was appalled to learn of the kinds of books that are being pushed on our children. And I'm referencing specifically a book that was talking about Grindr. Now, for those who are listening who may not be familiar with this phone app is what it really is. It's a sex site. This is a popular app that's frequented by many in the gay community. And the Florida Standard covered this topic to great lengths. You really expressed that people are fed up here, and there was a petition challenging this addition to the curriculum. Explain what you did, your involvement there, and how this puts our young children at great risk for really sexual predators. This is how sexual predators can find very young people. Why would a school push children or even introduce this app to young kids?
Well, I think there's only one clear answer, and that's because the people working at these schools who think that something like this is okay are truly evil. There is really no other way around it. If you are going to put sexual content in front of kids and try and ruin their innocence, you really are someone who can't be considered to be doing anything good or something that is actually helping children. You're doing it for your own agenda, your own pride. You know, if you look at human history and you look at the collapse of societal norms and different empires that dwindled, you will find that all of the time when they dwindled, they turned into decadence and they actually destroyed the innocence of children. And that's what's happening right now in America today. It is exactly the same thing that is happening in the West. And so what we decided to do is I went and spoke at a Hillsborough County school board meeting and expressed my disgust for this book that they were putting in this middle school titled This Book is Gay. It has, like you said, it shows kids how to set up profiles on Grindr, the gay sex app, and you put kids on here and you're opening them up to sexual predators. that's what you're doing with something like this. And now we actually at the Florida Stand, we built a petition so people can go and sign it. There are other petitions taking place with the state. And because of these petitions and things we're doing, and because of the challenges, at the end of the school year, the school board will have to review all of the books that have been challenged and then also hear the reasoning why and get the petitions. So we're hoping that with this, we can actually have something take place and get this book canceled and make sure that any of these other books are no longer in schools for children to see, because it's not about free speech like the left will say and everyone can come and just read whatever books they want. No, it's about the sexualization of children, the destruction of innocence, and they'll try and play it off as free speech, but there's nothing free speech about telling kids how to anal sex instructions and how to get on adult sex apps.
You know, it is just plain evil. It really is. And we all ought to be concerned. I want to encourage every listener out there, AMACers, go to the website. We're going to certainly put that here in our bio. We want that petition signed. More signatures is good for America. And you speaking about it, Will, is so important, because if we're finding this in one school, imagine what could be happening across the nation. And we saw what happened with parents really speaking up, stepping out and saying, I want to get involved in my school, on my school board. I want to run, on my school board and protect the children here in our school. Our children, boy, they do seem to be really the left's favorite target audience these days. And you've also unveiled some jarring topics. Another inappropriate children's book entitled, What's an Abortion Anyway? I mean, first of all, the casual language, the bright colors that we saw really delivers a very deranged message. It glorifies an extremely serious fact that abortion is the killing and taking of life. That message was gut-wrenching for me. I just don't understand. Again, evil is what I call it. My question is, what can parents do to ensure that their children are not exposed to these kinds of damaging messages?
Well, I think that first of all, the parents need to be better in touch with their children. I think a lot of parents just let their kids go to school and think that, oh, it's school, the teacher's fine, and they don't actually worry about what the kids are learning. The parents need to be more involved in the kids' lives and ask them, what kind of books are you reading? What is your teacher teaching you? Are they talking to you about CRT or gender theory or any of these other things? What are they actually telling you? And if you find something that is off at the school that they're teaching, then you need to get a coalition of parents, go to school board meetings, go and petition, and actually challenge the things. When I say challenge, I mean legally challenge these things at these meetings and make sure that they can't happen anymore. That's what's been happening in the state of Florida that's so good, is that it's a revolution in normal people. These parents going to school board meetings aren't just a bunch of Trump-supporting Republicans. They're normal people who see their kids being destroyed and their innocence being wrought, and they want to say, I'm going to stand up against it. You can be that person. You can be that brave person to actually go and do that, but no one's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself, and you have to speak to your children and your grandchildren and actually find out what they're being taught so that you can actually challenge something. It's one thing to go on social media and complain about, all the stuff going on, but it's another thing to actually find out what's happening in your child's life and do something about that individual circumstance. And I think that people need to take more responsibility in the direction that this country is going.
It's such an important issue, and we saw what happened last year in Virginia when Youngkin ran as governor, and we saw when he stood up and said, we've got to stop this indoctrination of our children in schools. And I think that was the beginning of something big that we see happening across the nation. More and more parents are encouraged to get involved. We need people desperately to stand up. This is not just for children today, but for the future of America, and I'm as concerned as you are. The good news here is that we do see so many conservatives that are getting involved on their school boards. And then, I just want to shift gears a little bit here and talk about the midterm elections, because we saw what happened there, right? I call it like a little bit of a red trickle. There was not a huge red wave, although I think it was Newt Gingrich who said that the gavel comes in one size, right? There's no small, medium, and large. So winning the House, if conservatives can take the House, we can shift power and remove that gavel from Nancy Pelosi's hands. But I think, Will, that Republicans lost largely in certain areas because of early voting and ballot harvesting. How confident are you in our election process, including early voting, and what do you think should be done in order to ensure that our elections are free and fair?
Yeah, I'm obviously not too confident about it. I can't say for certain what happened in Arizona. I don't know. I wasn't there to see all of the machines and the early voting and all of that. But it's obvious that in California, I mean, Republicans and the GOP used ballot harvesting to their advantage because they knew that the Democrats were going to do it. So if you live in a state where ballot harvesting is taking place, then you almost have no other choice but to play like the left does, because otherwise you're going to lose. And that actually helped the GOP in California, one of the most left-wing states that there is. And so I hope that these rules can be changed, but I think it goes beyond the ballot harvesting and the early mail-in voting. Even though these are a problem, you really have Republicans in this country who have no clear vision for what they want to do. It's one thing to go on TV and go on Twitter and try and get famous and talk about, how bad inflation is and how bad the economy is, and gas prices are too high and things like this. And, I'm anti the climate change agenda, all this stuff. It's very easy for anyone to be a Republican or conservative and go and do that. What people need is a vision for their lives. They need some sort of meaning to give themselves that they can latch onto to be passionate and strong about a candidate or an ideology. Ron DeSantis has done that in the state of Florida. The people here know that there is a vision in this state that is not just election driven, but is purpose driven. And it's going to be lasting for a long time. It's not just going to, once the election is over, it's going to be back to the same old thing. They know that there is some sort of purpose and vision to what is happening in this state. In the rest of the country, I can't say that there were many Republicans who really had that same vision. And I think that's really ultimately why we lost. We can blame the election stuff, but if people feel so apathetic in their voting system and in the candidates they have, even though they have R's next to their name, it's not really going to fix the problems that we have. We need better conservative messaging to actually inspire people to go and vote. It's not just a attack against the left. We can't just be reactive attacking the left. We have to be on the offensive and have a plan, a vision that gives people some sort of meaning in their lives.
Yeah, this is so important. We've got to educate people, and that's exactly what you're doing over at the Florida Standard. We so appreciate the great work that you're doing. I have one last question for you, Will. Looking to the future, how hopeful are you that we will be successful, really, in all things, including rescuing our children from indoctrination, securing our border wall? The future of America depends on some really important things out there, and we've got leadership that is not focused, in my view, on a lot of these issues that are hurting America, not helping America. What's your take on the future as you look forward to 2023, 2024?
Well, I must say I'm quite cynical when it comes to the federal government. I'll be quite honest. I don't have much faith in our federal government. I don't have much faith in the Republican Party. Obviously don't have faith in the Democrat Party. I think most of these people are bought and paid for and wouldn't lift their finger to really help the American people if they ever actually did anything like that. But what I have faith in is local governments, local communities, and individuals. I think that with young people, the amount of Christian young people that are coming up who are very involved in their faith, who want to be more traditionally conservative, these kind of things give me a lot of hope. I think there's a lot of hope for individuals in places where they can build strong communities. But when it comes to the federal government and the elections, I only see it getting worse. And in 2024, I think you could have a worst case scenario here where you have Trump and DeSantis having one of the bloodiest primaries that there has been in a very long time, those two going neck and neck and scratching at each other and destroying each other. And the left, they say, okay, we're not going to be a part of this. They're going to run Michelle Obama because she would be the best candidate for the Democrats by far, which I haven't heard really anyone else talk about, but she's got a war chest of hundreds of millions of dollars, and she comes in and sweeps the entire country up. And the Republicans lose all power when it comes to the federal government after that because of the infighting that we had on the conservative side. So I personally don't have a lot of faith when it comes to the federal government. I have lots of faith for individuals because individuals can not have their spirits broken even if the state comes down on them. So I hope that people can take that and say, listen, even if the world is crumbling around me, I can still do things for myself. I can still pursue truth. I can still try and help my family and work on the things that I actually have control over.
Well, thank you so much. It's one reason why we do this show is that we do always go after truth, and we love to have people on this show who are better for America. You certainly are one of those people. Thank you so much. What a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, well, everything you're doing is really wonderful, and we appreciate it so much. So thanks again. And I want to thank each and every one of you out there. Thanks for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed this episode, go ahead and listen to more just like it by heading to our YouTube channel, or you can visit us at bfapodcast.com. AMAC.us. And you can also listen on iTunes, Spotify, or by downloading our free AMAC News app. Don't forget to follow us wherever you are on social media. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'm Rebecca Weber. This is your podcast, Better for America. We'll see you next time.